Hey everybody, and welcome to Accounting and Accountability. My name is Amanda,
And I'm Nelson.
and we're accounting academics here at the UTS Business School, and we love talking about accounting in everything.
Yes,
I was
absolutely.
watching a Korean drama the other day,
Yep.
and the lead male actor is like, someone's like, and this gives us a current ratio of 237%, and he goes, hang on a second, if current assets are this much and current liabilities are this much, isn't it 215%? And the accountant's all flustered.
Wow.
So knowing accounting,
Very valuable skill.
very valuable skill.
If you watch Korean dramas, I guess. Particular case.
And coming back to dramas, obviously, what we're going to talk about this week is the movies.
Yep.
And
We love movies.
things that we watch on TV.
Yes.
And I haven't seen the Barbie movie. Have you seen the Barbie
I
movie?
have not seen the Barbie. I'd like to. It looks like a lot of fun.
It looks good. I just can't figure out who's going to look after my kids for some hours.
Like maybe they can watch it.
I don't know. If anyone thinks, if Barbie was kid friendly, you think if two young boys who like Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z would be interested in the Barbie movie?
It looks colourful.
It looks.
I don't know if that counts for anything.
I think they just roll their eyes at this.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Barbie. People have seen obviously the main actress, Margot Robbie. Australian actress, yeah. Seems like she's going to make a lot of money out of Barbie.
$77 million.
That is a lot of money. But interestingly, it's not from what you would expect.
Okay,
right?
because normally we see, so-and-so gets paid a certain amount for starring in the film and for being an actor.
Absolutely.
But she's getting, I think, $12.5 million for being a lead in the movie.
Yep.
But where does the other $75-ish million come from?
Absolutely. So a lot of the money that she's actually making is from the fact that she's a producer on the movie. So for those of you that don't know the background story, she actually purchased the initial rights or the intellectual property to make the Barbie movie. Then she took it to the director, Greta Gerwig, and then she
went to a studio.
Did all that. But basically, she initiated the whole process, got the asset itself, right?
Yep.
The right to the asset to produce the Barbie movie. And now that the movie's done so well, it's made about almost $1.3 billion.
She's going to get a percentage of that,
She gets
right?
a percentage cut of that. You would get a percentage cut as the lead actor in the movie, but you also get
sort
a
of
much bigger cut.
Base pay plus a bit of a bonus if the movie does well.
Because it kind of encourages you to show up to
Do a good
marketing events and do a good job, make yourself likable. But the big share she's getting is from being a producer on the movie. Yeah.
So it's sort of like thinking, you could work in a business, but you can make more by starting your own business and then, having more rights to the general revenue.
Absolutely.
Now, we can't do that here because you and I don't have enough money to start our own university.
No, we don't.
But it's an interesting way that you see a lot of actors, musicians are getting more into production. And the other one that I would think of who's really done that well is Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
Right? He's obviously got football, he's got Deadpool.
He bought a Formula One team.
Bought a share of a Formula One team.
Recently.
And so it's all of these things where, he might own the company that makes aviation gin.
Yep.
Or a share of the company.
Yep.
Then he owns the production company that does the advertising.
Yep.
And then he produces the movies where aviation gin is featured as a product.
Yes.
So it's creating this whole life cycle.
Absolutely.
And if you think about sort of supply chain of, workers and the original ideas and the production process, it's now actors getting involved in more parts of the production process.
Yes.
To be able to generate themselves more revenue and have more control.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be in a bad movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so
we won't say any bad movies.
No, we won't say any bad. We won't talk about Greenland. But I guess the key point here is the real value that accounting draws out is from the assets that are owned, right? So if a company owns a really great asset, so the value of BHP or Rio Tinto comes from their mines, their assets, right? And so they talk about the CEO getting paid a lot, but it's really the shareholders that are getting the chunk of the because they own the assets.
And assets could be physical things like minerals and deposits in the ground.
Yep.
But it also could be intellectual property as well.
Like the Barbie movie.
The Barbie movie. So Mattel would have owned the license for Barbie and all of the products that come off it.
Anything that looks like Barbie related, right? Whether it be the toys
And we see the same thing with Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
The comics.
There's actually a really great podcast about that
Ooh.
on Spotify, about the whole history of how sort of the Marvel Cinematic Universe came to be.
And it's that coordination, I think, that we see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that links movies and TV in this whole long process, which I think means it's really hard for DC to catch up.
Yes.
So, farewell Henry Cavill as Superman, recast for a new...
And as the Witcher.
And as the Witcher, yes. I do wonder, I haven't watched the end of The Witcher yet, but like I do wonder at the very end if like Henry Cavill will die and in the last scene he comes back alive
as someone else.
As Liam Hemsworth.
Liam
Hemsworth is going to be the Witcher.
So actually speaking of The Witcher, so let's see if we actually get to a 4th season, because for those of you that don't know, there's been an ongoing Hollywood strike.
Yes. So writers and actors are on strike over something that they call residuals.
Residuals.
What are residuals?
Okay. So residuals are basically the extra payments you get on top of your salary for doing a certain role, right? So in this case, the writers, they get paid their fixed salary for writing for a particular TV show, and then they get the residuals in the form of additional bonuses for
every time it re-shows. So I don't know, you wouldn't remember this, but when I was growing up, you would see MASH, you would see Happy Days, you would see some shows, rerun over and over and over again. And then every time a show that had been originally premiered would show again on television or a movie, or was sold as a DVD, then the original actors would get a very, very small proportion as a residual. And it used to be, and I had some friends that did work in daytime soap opera in the USA, where residuals used to be enough to actually live on. So you could be on a soap opera. She was on there for about 12 years. And that was enough for her to live off. She never had to work again because every time it was reshown,
a paycheck for
she
every
was
single
getting,
time it would aired on television.
Yeah, it's sort of like, YouTube. Every time one of my old auditing YouTube videos gets replayed, I earn a tiny, tiny bit of money. Thank you to all those people. And all that money goes back into like my teaching and learning stuff at UTS.
Investments and investment properties and,
and
yachts.
No. If you're a AAA student, you'll know my $5 challenge. That's where all the $5 challenge money comes from. And all the cool YouTube money, donuts we give away. But
when this would make YouTube money. When
we're not at this point yet where this is going to make YouTube money. When it does, I'll share it with you. Be sure to share it with you. But it's what is happening now with streaming services is that instead of it being, the streaming platform like Netflix will pay the original company that made the TV show a fixed amount to stream it as many times as they like over a certain period of time, which means that actors and the staff involved don't earn the residuals that they used to because of streaming. Now, why wouldn't Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, all of the streaming giants, Amazon, why wouldn't they want to pay actors residuals from streaming?
Well, one, it's an extra cost, so they obviously want to avoid that.
They want more profits.
They want more profits, but I guess most importantly, it's the uncertainty of the result, right? Because they want to spend a fixed amount on a TV show and say, we want to produce this TV show for, let's say, 100 million.
We want to buy this TV show to screen.
So here's the money, do it. So what they don't want is all these extra costs in the future, right? And
which you can't anticipate. You don't know whether a show's going to be a hit or not a hit.
Exactly. And so what you don't want is, having to pay all this extra money because a show did really well, especially for these streaming companies where their revenue is quite fixed, right? It's subscribers. And
you could watch no shows or you could watch 100 shows.
Yeah.
And I still pay my, $17.99 a month?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I paid a little extra because someone outside the household.
You do the sharing plan
thing.
The
sharing thing. But the point is they don't want these extra costs. They want to be as fixed as possible to match with the fact that their revenues are also quite fixed.
And it creates all this unpredictability because then you could go from making a profit to making a loss.
Yeah.
And it's also less controlled. So when TV channels, free-to-air TV channels or Foxtel, they would schedule in advance and you'd know in advance roughly how many times Happy Days would repeat show or Friends or The Big Bang Theory. Yeah. But with a streaming service now, and I've seen this happen, there was a particular show on Netflix and people weren't sure whether it would be picked up again. Yeah. So there was this whole online campaign for people to just turn on their TV in the morning while working from home and press play.
Yeah.
and then just keep streaming the show.
Yeah.
Which would mean no one's really watching, but you're streaming it, which would mean those actors would get residuals. So there's this big strike on at the moment. It doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon.
Yeah.
It needs a really good accountant and financial modeler to try and model what the behavior would be like, so that they can say, well, look, actually, you make this many billions of dollars.
Yeah.
The potential streaming cost could be, the potential extra residuals could be
this
a certain
much.
amount.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess it is a more complicated system that we're working with, because in the past, if a show got re-aired on TV, you'd get all the advertising revenue from that, and it makes sense to then pay the residual, because you could link a TV show to the advertising. But now you can't really.
No, thank goodness there's no advertising on Netflix.
No, isn't there free?
Oh, maybe in the cheap tier there's advertising. I think my
of...
children would get upset.
Yeah.
First time they saw ads on TV, they just were watching free-to-air TV and just had no idea what was going on. Like, where did the show go?
Yeah.
My children are children brought up during the streaming generation. So this means that we might not see as many of our TV shows, because it's, productions that are happening in the US, with the US Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild.
Yep.
But that could have flow-on effects to if you were producing a movie here in Australia.
Yep.
So some movies could get put on hold. That would affect the staffing here. But what I would expect to see is that actors the rest of the world around aren't on strike. So if you are looking at streaming services, if I was a streaming network executive, I'd be looking at content from other countries, because we certainly are watching more international content, more subtitled content.
Well, that's
now.
the thing. It's like
hence me and Korean dramas.
That's the thing. It's like a lot of reality TV shows became really big because of the previous strike that happened. Was it back in 2008? I think.
Yeah.
Then they were really desperate for content. So shows like Cops, which was like they put
Love Island or whatever those things.
The Apprentice, all that kind of stuff became big.
And look where The Apprentice got us.
Well, yeah, that's a whole separate thing. But yeah.
So we'll wait and see. We'll probably give you an update in, when there's a change in the strike. But, when we see these big things happening in the news, there's always some way to think about how we could link that back to accounting.
Yeah.
Because money is what drives a lot of these decisions.
Yeah,
whether
especially
that's
Hollywood,
streaming, whether it's which car to make, whether it's grocery prices, inflation. It all comes back to data that is related to business transactions. Which is what we do in accounting. We record and analyze those transactions
to drive
business
profitability.
Decisions.
And hopefully we'll bring you lots of these interesting stories week to week.
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.